Good morning and welcome to this Thursday Thought. When I was a youngster, Dad farmed a quarter of ground that was owned by his brother-in-law that had a homestead on it. Now there was a house there that no one had lived in for some time. There was a barn, a corral, a granary, and some other things near the house that, when one looked around, said that someone once lived there. And one of the things in the yard near that house was a sundial. I was fascinated as a child with that sundial and the ability to tell time by observing the shadow that was cast by the sun onto the dial. I don't know what happened to the dial when the land was sold. I suspect that my cousin may have it, as she told me a while back that she has a sundial that came from her parents' place following their passing. She shared a photo of it, but I can't recall enough about the dial from 65 years ago to say with certainty whether that's the dial or not. But I continue to be fascinated by the relationship between the sun's journey through the heavens and our notion of time and the passing of time. I've wanted a sundial for a long time, and this year I decided to find one and bring it home. So we went to Yoder's Ornamental Concrete in Burton, Kansas, and chose a dial from several that they had in stock. I brought it home along with a concrete stand to place it on, put it in the backyard, oriented it appropriately, and lo and behold, it started working as soon as I placed it. It didn't require batteries, an app, or any startup period. I then did some research on how to accurately tell the time from the dial, as solar noon is different in different locations on the Earth. Well, the first thing one does is read the time shown by the shadow on the dial with the pointer pointing to the north, and then add an hour for daylight saving time. But that isn't all. It's essential to know one's longitude on the globe and which longitude is the one that's for one's particular time zone. In Wichita, the 90th longitude marks the actual center point of the central time zone, I found out. Wichita's longitude is about 97.3 degrees, which makes us roughly 7.5 degrees west, or in time standards, later than the 90-degree longitude. And for each degree of longitude one is behind the center point of the time zone, one adds 4 minutes to the sundial time. 4 minutes times 7.3 rounded around equals about 30 minutes. So we add another 30 minutes to the 1 hour we add for daylight saving time to get an approximate hour and a half correction for the sun time. So if the dial shows, say, 10:45 a.m., we add an hour and a half to get 12:15 p.m. I have found the dial to be accurate when doing that within a very few minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. No more than that off of my watch time. Now, if you've gone with me this far, you might think that that's all rather boring, and for many it may well be not very high on their priority list. And I'm not just overwhelmed with it all, but it's more than just fun for me. There's something about gleaning the time from the shadow on the sundial that connects modern life. You know, the smartwatches, the cell phones, the atomic clocks, those modern conveniences, connects them with something that is as old as mankind, marking the passage of time by observing the motion of the sun in the heavens. There's some kind of tug, some kind of pull, some kind of beckoning that the sundial does to me that helps me remain just a little more grounded, so to speak, and a little more appreciative of the natural creation. Well, I suppose it sort of goes along with my sitting on our back patio from time to time, watching and hearing the songbirds, seeing the occasional coyote, owls, deer, squirrels, butterflies, dragonflies, and sometimes even a snake or some other critter of the woods behind our house. It goes along with observing the night sky, or at least what I can make out of it from our suburban location. It even goes along with watching the plants, the trees, and flowers make their annual appearances at the appropriate times of the season. All of it. The sundial, the various observations, sounds, and sights right outside in the yard help me manage the other times when I have to interact with computers, artificial intelligence, and algorithms. There's a certain comfort in knowing that the iris will bloom this spring. The deer will amble by at the edge of the woods. The robins will sing into the twilight. And the sun will mark the passage of time. I'm grateful that I can see, hear, and appreciate it all. And if I can offer some unsolicited advice to you, find ways that you can connect with the real world. You don't need a sundial, but maybe you can take some time to explore your backyard, a park, or a nature trail from time to time. You might look up at night some nights just to see what's out there. And when you do, you might just find out that it's far more enjoyable, peaceful, and far less stressful to do that than to doom scroll, play endless video games, or hang out online for hours on end. Blessings. Oh, by the way, I'm also reminded with this sundial of the story of King Hezekiah in 2 Kings chapter 20 in the Bible. That king was ill. God had told him through Isaiah the prophet that he would die, and the king prayed to God for deliverance. After Isaiah left the king, God told him to go back to the king and let him know that God had heard his prayer and would add years to his life. Hezekiah asked for a sign that this was indeed true. And Isaiah asked Hezekiah if he would rather the sun go forward 10 steps on the sundial or backward. And of course, Hezekiah said, well, it's an easy thing for the sun to go forward 10 steps. Have it go backward. So Isaiah prayed, and according to Scripture, God caused the shadow to move 10 steps backward on the sundial of Ahaz. I don't ever expect to see that in our backyard sundial, and if I do, I'll know that what is normal in life has forever changed.